Hello everyone, welcome to another amazing video. If you enjoy the content, I ask that you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming parts and new videos. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Are you ready? Let's go.
In a small town in the mountains known as Baiji, a duel was about to take place. Many people were there to witness this duel. Suddenly, a group of people arrives, climbing the stairs. What appears to be their leader is at the front of the group, called Pavilion Wind. This man thinks that he has finally reached the point he wanted, and when he wins the duel, he will be able to join the strongest sect of the league. He has a memory of some tragedy that happened in his life, with several people dead on the ground. But he thinks again that now the truth is very close to him. Another person is standing in the middle of the arena. This person is called Hong. He is the leader of the Hongmen clan. Hong asks which of them is the challenger and asks him to come forward. The leader of the Pavilion Wind sect steps forward and introduces himself, saying that he is the master of the Pavilion Wind sect and his name is Ling Xiao. One of the members of his sect is angry that Hong does not know them, but the girl next to him asks him to keep his composure. The audience is surprised to hear the name Ling Xiao. A man in the middle of the audience tells his friend that this Ling Xiao is the new spiritual master who suddenly appeared and many sects were defeated by him. Ling Xiao does not want to waste any more time and announces to Master Hong that he will no longer beat around the bush and will start. He begins to release his energy and summon his spiritual beast. A lot of smoke begins to rise and suddenly a huge shadow covers the arena. The audience is in awe of what they see, wondering how he managed to develop and cultivate such a powerful spiritual beast. His spiritual beast is a whale, classified as the first. Its name was Kun, the aquatic giant. Hong looks at all this and says that the Pavilion Wind sect are fish farmers and that they probably have some skills. That same member of the Pavilion Wind sect gets angry again for Hong having called them fish farmers. Hong prepares himself and says he will show something interesting. Suddenly, a giant hand hits the ground, causing destruction in the arena. Hong's spiritual beast is a giant monkey called Suna, classified as the first type of walking beast, Sky Ape. Then, the battle begins and the two spiritual beasts begin to fight. The audience thinks that the leader of the Hong clan is better. After all, it is an A-class sect. The girl from the Pavilion Wind sect asks if everything will be okay, and the other boy tells her not to worry, as the conditions for the beast's evolution have been met. The girl is shocked by this, asking if this is really true. Ling Xiao begins to concentrate his energy and says that he is a good person, and how dare he challenge Master Hong. He is naturally somewhat confident. Ling Xiao says that this trump card was prepared for this duel against Hong. Suddenly, an intense light comes out of Ling Xiao and goes straight to his spiritual beast. The whale begins to release a lot of smoke and its eyes are already different. It begins to emerge from the smoke and, as we can see, it is much larger and terrifying. It attacks the monkey with a bite and the monkey screams in pain as it is bitten. Hong is shocked by what he is seeing. He shouts, saying that Ling Xiao has evolved his spiritual beast to the entry state and wonders how this is possible. The audience, seeing that Ling Xiao's beast is in the entry state, panics, as it is the first time for many there to see a beast of this level. Other people ask who this Ling Xiao is and say that the outcome of the duel is already decided. That same boy from the Pavilion Wind sect boasts that now everyone knows what the Pavilion Wind sect is capable of, and another member says that Ling Xiao is worthy of being the leader of the sect. But something unexpected happens. A crack in the whale's skin appears. The girl realizes that something is wrong. The whale's skin continues to show cracks more and more. Ling Xiao does not understand what is happening, and now the entire skin of the whale is cracked. It begins to lose its skin, and its flesh starts to appear. Its eyes, from blue, turn yellow, and after losing almost all its skin, it turns into a colossal zombie monster that even the monkey panics. Ling Xiao wonders if the evolution failed and what went wrong, as his whale turned into a zombie monster. The whale turns and heads towards the audience, and without mercy, begins to kill everyone there. Ling Xiao tries to control it with his energy, but it is of no use. It turns its attention to Ling Xiao, who continues trying to control it. The whale is getting closer and closer to Ling Xiao, and when it is in front of him, the girl screams for him to be careful. Ling Xiao thinks that this monster is completely out of his control. The whale opens its mouth to attack, and at that moment Ling Xiao wonders if he's going to die there in that way, after working so hard for so long and being one step away from the truth. He thinks he is not willing to give up, however. His life ended there, at that moment. Suddenly, in a beautiful place with trees and mountains, a person wakes up under a tree. He scratches his head, somewhat confused, looks at his hands, and wonders how he ended up in that place. He sees a stream nearby and decides to go wash his face and drink some water, but the moment he looks at the water and sees his reflection, he is startled and spits out all the water in his mouth. As we can see, this person is Ling Xiao. He wonders who this person is and how he became her, but first of all he decides to calm down. He thinks and concludes that this must be the effect of the skill, Seize the Body and Nirvana. To be safe, the whale learned the skill, Seize the Body and Nirvana. The skill consists of, when the master of the spiritual beast dies, he reincarnates randomly after a year. When the master of the spiritual beast dies, Nirvana will be activated automatically. After a year of keeping the master's soul, he will randomly occupy another person's body and be reborn. Ling Xiao realizes that he has taken over this person's body and resurrected her, but he is sad to realize that he has been dead for a year. Ling Xiao is angry because he was very close to putting his sect in the upper league. The truth could have been discovered, and now all his efforts have been wasted. He is also frustrated because his pet whale was sacrificed when the Nirvana body swap was activated, and now he has to retrain a new spiritual beast. Even though he has survived, he is now back to square one, and for him, this is very disturbing. Ling Xiao wonders what really happened. He had checked the evolution condition, and once again, there was not even a slight miscalculation. So why did the evolution fail? Why did the whale turn into a zombie? Did someone interfere with the evolution? If so, who was it? No one else knew the secret of the whale. Ling Xiao thinks about who the current owner of his new body is, and what he was doing to be there at that moment. He has many questions. Suddenly, Ling Xiao hears several people running nearby. He turns to see what it was. The people who were running begin to scream that there is a person right there in front and that they should check. As they get close to Ling Xiao, one of the guys in the group informs everyone that he had found him and that everyone should go there quickly. The others start to arrive from behind the bushes. Ling Xiao thinks that everyone there must be the guards of the Bai residence. Ling Xiao realizes that their clothes are familiar to him. He continues thinking and concludes that the group really are guards of the Bai residence. Bai is a sect of the Second League. Ling Xiao greets them and takes the opportunity to ask about the situation. Ling Xiao says that everyone there seems to be very anxious and asks if they are looking for something. The same guard who found Ling Xiao starts yelling, telling Ling Xiao to stop pretending. The guard calls Ling Xiao Fengmeng and a pervert and asks where he hid the ladies. Ling Xiao is shocked, wondering why they are calling him a pervert and which ladies they are talking about. Ling Xiao stretches out his arms, shouting for them to wait, as there must be a misunderstanding. He pleads for them to listen, but the guard asks Ling Xiao to stop talking, as he is a cunning pervert, so they must kill him quickly. The guard lunges at Ling Xiao, but he manages to dodge at the last second. He supports himself on his arm as he moves away from the guard. Ling Xiao thinks this is bad, as there isn't enough time for him to explain himself. He sees that there are only a few guards, so he can easily deal with them. Ling Xiao begins to conjure a spell to release his beast. He tells everyone to prepare for what is coming. The guards are worried, as Ling Xiao is going to release his spiritual beast. The guard tells everyone to be careful. Ling Xiao thinks he is lucky, as the owner of his current body is also a spiritual master, and he has 2 spiritual beasts, although Ling Xiao does not know what kind of beasts they are, but it shouldn't be a problem to command them. Ling Xiao stretches out his hand confidently that it won't be difficult to defeat the guards with the beasts. Ling Xiao shouts for the beast to come out. When the beast begins to emerge, Ling Xiao looks at it and thinks that judging by its shape it doesn't seem bad, and judging by the shadow it seems to be a fierce beast. The guards back off a bit and prepare, but the beast that Ling Xiao summoned is just a small puppy. Ling Xiao is dumbfounded, wondering what the hell this is. The puppy runs towards Ling Xiao, who asks why the dog is running in his direction. But when the puppy reaches Ling Xiao, it grabs onto his leg and starts doing indecent things. Ling Xiao thinks that the previous owners of his current body not only are perverts, but their spiritual beast is too. Ling Xiao finds this very embarrassing. The guards are dumbfounded by what is happening. The guard grabs his sword and shouts that there is nothing to fear, and says it will be easy to finish him off together. But at that moment, Ling Xiao remembers that he has another spiritual beast and decides to summon it as well. The beast appears, however. It is a normal vine-type beast. Ling Xiao asks the vine beast to attack, which it obeys and uses its vine arms to attack. The vine beast wraps around the girl suggestively, which makes the other guards blush. One of the guards shouts at the protagonist, calling him a pervert. Ling Xiao puts his hand on his head and says that these beasts are not normal and have been trained the wrong way. Ling Xiao tries not to panic and thinks about how to solve this. He thinks there might be a creative way to use these beasts, so there is still a chance for Ling Xiao. At that moment, someone cuts off the vine beast's arms and throws a stone at the puppy. But seeing this, Ling Xiao realizes that he has no chance at all. Ling Xiao was captured by the guards and tied up with his own vine beast's vines. He sighs as he sits on the ground and thinks that this is crazy, reborn in the body of a pervert with such spiritual beasts. Suddenly the guard shouts, asking Ling Xiao to speak now about where the Bai ladies are. Ling Xiao responds that, as he said before, this is all a misunderstanding. Ling Xiao asks if the guard will listen to his explanation. The guard puts his sword to Ling Xiao's throat and asks him to speak. Suddenly, another guard arrives shouting that they found the pervert's dwelling. A simple house in the middle of the forest. This was the house of the former owner of Ling Xiao's body. The guard asks if that house is really his. Ling Xiao says he thinks maybe. However, the guards didn't wait for Ling Xiao to finish speaking and already knocked down the door of the house. Inside, the guards began to search, while the protagonist just watched. One of the guards tells the captain that they have searched the entire house, but found nothing. Ling Xiao sighs in relief and thinks he is safe now. Suddenly, the guard punches Ling Xiao in the face, asking where the ladies are. Ling Xiao yells at him, saying that the guard is a horrible guy, as Ling Xiao said it was a misunderstanding, and still no one listened to him. He continues saying that if it had really been him, he would have put them in a basement, and asks if his house looked like it had a basement. But at that moment, one of the guards shouts, announcing that they found a basement. Ling Xiao starts to cry, thinking he is an idiot. The leader goes there to check. He opens the basement, and there it is, full of girls with cloth in their mouths and tied up. The leader tries to calm them down, saying that they are there to save them. Ling Xiao starts sweating, seeing that there are many girls there, and thinks that the former owner of the body was crazy. The guard jumps in to help the girls. She shouts from inside that they found Miss Bai. The guard takes Miss Bai out and asks if she is okay. All the other guards kneel down, asking if she was okay and apologizing for being late. And the protagonist in the back, not knowing what to do, as he was caught red-handed, so it's over for him. The leader turns to Ling Xiao and asks what else he has to say. The leader takes his sword and says he will end Ling Xiao in the name of justice. Ling Xiao accepts that it is his end and does not say a word. He only thinks that he managed to be reborn, and in less than an hour, he will die again. But suddenly, Bai intervenes. The leader asks what she would like. Bai asks to let Ling Xiao live for now and take him back to the residence. Bai says she has her own arrangements to deal with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, hearing this, is scared. At night in Bai's residence, Ling Xiao is chained to a pillar. He thinks about why Miss Bai didn't kill him. She just brought him to the residence and kept him in captivity. She clearly does not want to torture him as revenge. Ling Xiao sighs, as the two beasts he has were defeated, so he cannot summon them until they recover. Ling Xiao thinks that now it is indeed his end. He cannot escape from there. There is nothing he can do to save himself. Suddenly, the door of the captivity opens and the light of the lantern goes straight into Ling Xiao's face. The leader of the guards arrives and says that Miss Bai wants to see him. As they walked through the residence, Ling Xiao asks how they are planning to torture him. Ling Xiao wants to know, as he intends to prepare mentally for it. When they arrive at a gate, the leader says it is right there. Ling Xiao asks where the execution chamber is. The guard informs the protagonist that this is Miss Bai's room and tells Ling Xiao to enter. Ling Xiao asks if it is really her room, but without much ado, he begins to enter the room. Ling Xiao calls Miss Bai, but there were no answers. Ling Xiao wonders why it is so dark there and what she wants to do with him. Suddenly, a match is lit and used to light a candle. Bai is sitting in her chair saying to Ling Xiao that he is finally there and calls him a pervert. Ling Xiao is speechless for a moment, but gathers courage and asks what she wants with him. She asks him if he knows the reason she didn't kill him. Ling Xiao responds saying that probably she is very kind and would give him a chance to redeem himself. But with that, Bai gets furious and asks how a pervert like him dares to drug the water and try to take advantage of her. Ling Xiao responds that he wouldn't dare to do that, and that this is all a misunderstanding. Ling Xiao realizes that Bai really wants revenge. Bai begins to say that she has never suffered something like this since she was born, and Ling Xiao is the first person who made her suffer. Bai begins to conjure her magic and tells Ling Xiao that it will be easy to let him die, but his death will not quench her anger. She intends to keep him forever in her residence and make Ling Xiao a lackey that she can humiliate at any time she wants. Suddenly her spiritual beast appears. It is a big white snake. Ling Xiao raises his hand and says that at the moment he can't, as since childhood he was spoiled and doesn't know how to serve people well. The only things he knows are to eat, sit, and do nothing. He doesn't know how to wash clothes, cook, and also is boring, and for that reason he cannot be a lackey. With that, Bai gets angry and says that she is not negotiating with him. But the protagonist turns with an apprehensive expression and says to Miss Bai that she can find someone else to be her lackey, as he was leaving. Ling Xiao says goodbye and starts to leave. Bai listens to everything in silence, but before Ling Xiao leaves, she asks him who gave him permission to leave. She calls her spiritual beast and orders her beast to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. Suddenly the snake attacks Ling Xiao. He sees the snake approaching, but at the last second he manages to dodge. The snake goes straight and hits the ground with such force that it breaks a part of the floor. The snake called Xiaobai gets up and starts hissing while staring at the protagonist. However, with this attack, Xiaobai bit and cut the vine that was holding Ling Xiao. Bai warns Ling Xiao that if he wants to get out of there, he has to get past Xiaobai. Determined, Ling Xiao begins to unravel the vines from his body. He says that since they can't make a deal, then he will have to put in the effort. He starts to summon his spiritual beasts, but when they appear, they are sleeping with a sign saying, "Not to disturb," as they were off duty. Ling Xiao yells at them, saying that they will die if they keep relaxing. At that moment, the two beasts wake up terrified. Ling Xiao yells that now there is no time for them to fully recover. Now it's win or die. Ling Xiao still doesn't understand the powers of his beasts because he is the new owner of the body, but he asks his beasts to do their best to win. The Onion and the dog are determinate. Then, Xiaobai attacks and bites the Onion, which didn't even try to dodge. Ling Xiao is shocked by this, but it's all part of the Onion's plan. It uses its vines to tie up Xiaobai, holds Xiaobai's head, and uses more vines to tie up its entire body, again in a suggestive way that even Xiaobai blushes. The dog starts running towards Xiaobai. It jumps and uses its pea on the eye skill on Xiaobai. With this, Xiaobai is unable to see properly. She falls to the ground disoriented and trembling. Bai is shocked, wondering what kind of techniques these are, and once again calls the protagonist a pervert. Ling Xiao thinks that it was as he thought. None of his beast's techniques are normal. Ling Xiao says that at least it worked well this time. Bai yells that Ling Xiao's beasts were perverted beasts in their infancy. They cannot defeat her white snake that is in the 5th phase of adolescence. Then, Bai decides to show what she is capable of. Suddenly, Xiaobai's eyes begin to shine, and her body starts to emit smoke. Now Xiaobai's body is on fire. This technique is called fire scales, and consists of burning any substance attached to the user's body, generating high heat with scaly friction. With this, Xiaobai manages to burn the vines and free herself from the bindings, while also burning the onion alongside. The dog decides to avenge its friend Onion, but Xiaobai hits the dog with her tail and throws it far away, passing by Ling Xiao and hitting a rock behind him. Now the dog and the onion are out of the battle. The snake looks at Ling Xiao and starts to hiss. Ling Xiao is scared by this. Bai starts to say that Ling Xiao no longer has spiritual beasts, and asks how he will fight now. Then Bai orders Xiaobai to attack. Xiaobai rushes at full speed towards the protagonist, who just stands there in panic. But Ling Xiao manages to hold Xiaobai's mouth. With the impact, he is thrown into a lake. Ling Xiao sinks into the lake and, inside, he thinks that it will be impossible to defeat that snake and wonders what he can do. But suddenly, he turns and sees a small fish swimming nearby. He wonders what that is. From outside the lake, Bai and Xiaobai just wait for Ling Xiao. Bai asks if Ling Xiao died, as she hasn't even played with him for long. Ling Xiao gets up, and Bai is surprised. She starts to say that Ling Xiao is strong and asks him to continue the fight or just give up. Ling Xiao raises his hand and releases his energy. Suddenly, something begins to emerge from the lake. Bai is confused, asking how he had another spiritual beast. A small bright blue fish emerges from the water. Bai, shocked, looks at the fish and realizes that it's just a pond fish. She starts to mock Ling Xiao, saying that he caught a fish in the pond and wants to use it as his spiritual beast. But the protagonist is determined. Bai covers her mouth with her hand and asks Ling Xiao if he knows the story of the catfish. Ling Xiao asks what story that is. Bai says that many years ago, this type of fish was highly popular. This was because the leader of the Pavilion Wind managed to raise it to an invincible colossal whale. But unfortunately, that fish lost control, swallowed and killed its master during the battle that happened a year ago. Since then, it has been called the monster that killed its own master. The Alliance issued an order to slaughter all the remaining fish on the continent, and now these fish are almost extinct. Bai says that her brother secretly kept this fish in the pond, and it may be the last catfish on the entire continent. Furthermore, everyone agreed that only the leader of the Pavilion Wind knew the secret to raising a catfish. No one else could successfully evolve it to become anything more than a useless spiritual fish. Bai puts her hand on her chin and says that she didn't imagine that Ling Xiao would contractually connect with this kind of wild monster that swallowed its own master. She says she feels sorry for him. Ling Xiao responds that there's no way to know if he doesn't try. Bai tires of talking and orders Xiaobai to attack. Ling Xiao yells at his fish that he would leave it to him. The fish flies out and goes straight past Xiaobai. Ling Xiao holds Xiaobai by the mouth, trying not to be swallowed again. The fish continues to fly while Ling Xiao is being attacked. The fish reaches behind Xiaobai and starts to suck on its tail. Bai, seeing that, can't believe what she's seeing. She asks what the fish is doing and if this was some kind of joke. Bai points at Ling Xiao and yells at him that she didn't think he was wise, but she didn't imagine he was so stupid. Bai says she feels insulted to have suffered at the hands of Ling Xiao and calls him annoying. She says she has no more time to play and that he will die now. Ling Xiao is still struggling with Xiaobai and Bai yells at Xiaobai to bite Ling Xiao to death. Xiaobai's fangs begin to pierce Ling Xiao's hand. Ling Xiao turns his face away from the snake's breath. At that moment, Ling Xiao calls his fish and tells it to hurry up. The fish then nods, prepares, and begins to suck the snake's tail in. Bai and Xiaobai are shocked by what the fish is doing. The fish quickly begins to swallow Xiaobai whole, leaving her completely terrified. The fish continues sucking until it swallows the snake completely. Bai is horrified by this and starts to tremble. To relieve itself, the fish burps. Bai falls to her knees on the ground, covers her mouth with her hand, and says that this is impossible. Ling Xiao starts coughing as he calls his fish back. Then, he stores his beast. Ling Xiao, while trying to get out of the lake, tells Miss Bai that she is very arrogant. So, Ling Xiao had no choice but to have the fish swallow Xiaobai. Ling Xiao takes the opportunity to apologize to Bai. As Ling Xiao leaves the lake, he says goodbye to Bai. He jumps over the small wall and leaps away, leaving Bai fallen on the ground and finished. Bai starts to cry, cursing Ling Xiao. Bai clenches her fists and yells, calling the guards. The guards arrive asking what the problem is. Bai points out, saying the pervert is escaping. She asks them to hurry up and bring him back. The leader kneels and tells Miss Bai that they don't have enough time and pleads for her permission to use the spiritual beasts. Bai yells at them, saying they are very inflexible. She asks how they intend to catch up with Ling Xiao without using the spiritual beasts. But at the same moment, the guards summon their beasts to go after Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao at this moment is running through the forest. As he runs, he thinks that, given his current strength level, he is an easy target. but he is lucky to have found and captured a catfish, and, with that, he has a chance to get back to the top again. He continues running, thinking that Bai won't let him escape so easily. Ling Xiao thinks it's better to escape from that place first. The next day, the sky was extremely beautiful. At a nearby station, several people are arriving. The receptionist welcomes the group. The guy says he would like to enter the city and wants to rent a beast that is not too expensive but can provide a comfortable ride. The receptionist asks for a minute for the group and shouts, asking for a spiritual beast that can provide a pleasant ride. At that moment, two guys arrive and start summoning the beast. A giant scorpion with 2 chairs, a chest, and a lantern appears. The receptionist says that the scorpion has comfortable seats and is able to meet the client's needs. The client tries out the seat and says it's not bad at all. Then, they say goodbye, and the client leaves. Suddenly, Ling Xiao arrives running, asking for a spiritual beast. The receptionist asks what the beast would be used for, whether for personal or commercial use. Ling Xiao, all sweaty and tired, says he wants to go to the Pavilion Wind sect in the 2nd League. Ling Xiao adds that the sect has a membership agreement with this station, so he asks for a fast beast, as he is in a hurry. The receptionist smiles and says, there's no problem. He just needs the sect's access key, including the movements and the words of the secret code. Ling Xiao coughs to clear his throat and starts dancing, saying, little fish pa pa pa, big fish pa pa pa, pavilion wind mua mua. The receptionist turns white upon seeing this scene. Ling Xiao sees the receptionist's expression and asks why he looks like that and if there's a problem. The receptionist replies that there's nothing wrong, he's just looking for the details. Ling Xiao puts his hand on his forehead and thinks he shouldn't have asked Gu Ling to create the sect's codes, as this is very embarrassing. He remembers Gu Ling saying that the movements were ready. Suddenly, the receptionist interrupts Ling Xiao's thoughts and says that the record does not exist. He asks if Ling Xiao is sure that the movements and codes are correct, and if Ling Xiao wants to try again, but Ling Xiao refuses to do that again. After a while, the receptionist finally finds it. Ling Xiao wastes no time and asks for a supersonic falcon, but if there's no falcon, a shadow beast would be enough. The receptionist apologizes and informs Ling Xiao that the Pavilion Wind sect does not meet the required level to rent these spiritual beasts. This confuses Ling Xiao, as these spiritual beasts are exclusive to the 2nd League sects. Ling Xiao remembers Bai's words, saying that after the fish swallowed and killed its master a year ago, the Alliance issued an order to slaughter all the other fish, and now they are almost extinct. With this, Ling Xiao is terrified. He thinks that the Pavilion Wind sect must have suffered a lot after this incident that happened a year ago. Then he realizes that the sect is probably no longer in the 2nd League. Ling Xiao rushes to the receptionist and asks if the Pavilion Wind sect was demoted, and in which league it is at this moment. The receptionist starts to sweat and stammer. Ling Xiao yells, asking why he is stammering, and asks again in which league the sect is, whether it's in the 3rd or 4th League. The receptionist regrets to say, but the Pavilion Wind sect was removed from the leagues. This leaves Ling Xiao completely shocked. Back at the Bai residence, the guard is there and informs Bai that they split into 3 groups and searched for Ling Xiao within a radius of 5,000 meters, but were not able to track him. Bai gets so angry that she starts to tremble. She yells at them, calling them trash that can't find one person. She adds, saying that she suffered a lot because of Ling Xiao, and asks the guards if they couldn't help her take revenge. She continues yelling that she can't trust any of them. The guards apologize for their incompetence and ask Bai to forgive them. Suddenly, a strong wind passes and lifts Bai's dress. A huge shadow covers the guards, and a giant bird flies in the sky. The bird looks at them, and the dog that was there starts to tremble with fear. A tall guy with long hair appears flying mounted on the bird. Bai is happy with his return, as that guy is her brother.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and like the video. Thank you.